Picture this. A teacher in Moscow finishes explaining to her students how powerful Russia is, how the West trembles before them. She walks home through the snow, opens her refrigerator, empty, checks her bank account, 0 rubles. Her salary 3 weeks late, again. This isn't a scene from the chaotic 1990s. This is Russia right now, January 2026. And she's not alone. Across 11 time zones, millions of Russians are discovering the same terrifying truth. The state can no longer pay them. What I'm about to reveal isn't just another economic analysis. This is the anatomy of a superpower collapsing from the inside out. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Putin's greatest enemy isn't in Washington or Kiev. It's standing in a breadline in Vladivostok, holding an empty wallet. Welcome to the Great Breakdown.
Let's start where the Kremlin fears the most, the classroom. In the West, teachers' strikes make evening news. In Putin's Russia, teachers walking off the job is a political earthquake. In Russia, teachers are budgetniki, the budget class, but they're far more than educators. They are the regime's eyes and ears in every town, every village across the largest country on earth. They shape minds. They build loyalty. They are the foundation of the entire propaganda apparatus. For 25 years, teachers have been Putin's most reliable soldiers in the information war. But according to a bombshell report from the DXCut team, Russia's teachers' union has launched one of the largest strikes in post-Soviet history. The reason? Devastatingly simple: hunger. Their workload has doubled, bureaucratic pressure has intensified, ideological demands have become suffocating, but their salaries have been devoured by inflation. Imagine you're a teacher in Novosibirsk. During the day, you explain how Russia is winning. At night, you return to your apartment. Refrigerator, nearly empty. Bank balance, not enough for the month. Your daughter needs new shoes. Your son asks why there's no meat with dinner. This unbearable contradiction is what thousands of Russian teachers are living every single day. Why is this strike so dangerous? Because if teachers, the regime's most loyal propagandists, start protesting, the entire mechanism falls apart. Teachers staff polling stations. They organize pro-government rallies. They maintain surveillance in every community. For years, the Kremlin took these people for granted. But here's the ancient truth every dictator learns too late. Hunger overcomes fear. Every time. When people can't feed their children, something fundamental breaks inside them. Fear evaporates, replaced by desperation mixed with rage. This is the first stick of dynamite planted at Putin's regime, and the fuse is already burning.
The crisis has metastasized across Russia's vast geography. According to intelligence confirmed by UA News, local governments in several Russian regions have done the unthinkable. They've completely halted salary payments to public employees. No salary, 0 balance at the ATM. This isn't Venezuela. This is the Russian Federation, a nuclear superpower, in January 2026. For those who know Russian history, you recognize this pattern. When the Soviet Union collapsed, it began exactly like this. First, salaries delayed by a week, then a month, then cash ran out. Factories paid workers in towels, car tires, even vodka. Then, one morning, the state simply vanished. What's happening today is a high-definition replay of those dark days. But doesn't Russia sell oil? The money exists, but it's not reaching the people. This is budget cannibalism. To feed the war machine in Ukraine, Moscow has become a financial vacuum cleaner, sucking every ruble into the Kremlin's war chest. Putin gives regional governors one order. The war is the absolute priority. Form volunteer battalions, procure equipment, cover funeral expenses from local budgets. Governors are trapped between two forces: Putin, who can throw them in prison with one signature, and an angry population demanding basic services. Fear wins. To avoid angering the Kremlin, governors drain their regional budgets dry, pouring everything into Moscow's war altar. The result? Nothing left for the nurse at the hospital, the firefighter responding to emergencies, the sanitation worker cleaning frozen streets. Put yourself in that firefighter's boots. You're in Khabarovsk, risking your life in minus 30 degrees cold. The state says no money, wait. But you turn on TV and see Russia firing million-dollar missiles at Ukraine, lavish parades in Moscow, politicians celebrating victories. You watch the money from your pocket being burned 1,000 kilometers away. Can this man remain loyal? Will he obey when Moscow orders him to defend the regime tomorrow? Never. When blood circulation stops, organs die. Russia's provinces are experiencing necrosis. They are preparing to break away from Moscow.
When Western brands fled, Putin declared, "We'll fry our own chicken better." Enter Rostix, Russia's answer to KFC, proof of self-sufficiency. But according to EA Daily, this crown jewel is now conducting massive layoffs. There's a rule in economics. Fast food is the canary in the coal mine. It's the last sector to collapse. If people can't afford cheap chicken, the canary is dead. The people have no money left. The real disaster is in the supply chain. Putin forgot you can't manage an economy by changing the sign. When KFC left, they took their entire logistics network, supply chains built over decades, quality control, technology platforms. Rostix inherited empty buildings and frozen chicken. Everything else had to be rebuilt in a sanctioned country. Oil prices skyrocketed, equipment broke down, parts were unavailable, costs multiplied while quality plummeted. Thousands are being laid off from brands that were supposed to represent Russia's independence. You can paint over the sign, but if the model is broken, the store still goes bankrupt. According to AVM Denery data, 25 more major brands withdrew just last year. Russia's shopping malls are turning into ghost towns. In the early 2000s, Putin sold the middle class a dream. You'll consume at Parisian standards. Shopping malls were symbols of this prosperity. Now, Zara and IKEA are replaced by cheap knockoffs selling poor quality at premium prices. The public isn't stupid. They're not buying. The corridors are empty. Why does this matter? Because retail is an employment reservoir. Managers, consultants, logistics specialists. When this sector contracts by 40%, hundreds of thousands of educated urban Russians become unemployed. You can't take a retail manager and say, "Now make tank parts." These are urban, educated professionals. The emptying of malls is the death certificate of Putin's middle class. That consumption-happy, politically compliant base has been destroyed, replaced by a non-consuming, increasingly angry population. History teaches us, revolutions aren't started by peasants. They're started by educated urban middle classes whose dreams have been shattered.
Here's the paradox. Russia's central bank reports severe labor shortages. Yet I'm telling you, mass layoffs have begun. How can both be true? This is economic cannibalism. The war economy is devouring the civilian economy. If you're a welder in a tank factory in the Urals, you're a king. Your salary has tripled. Your job is guaranteed because Putin needs tanks. But if you're an advertising executive in Moscow, a software developer, a furniture designer, you're finished. In the Kremlin's calculation, you're not helping the war effort. You're disposable. The Russian economy is undergoing deliberate primitivization. The diversified, technology-oriented economy of the 21st century is being dismantled. In its place, the crude weapons and bread model of the 1940s. The qualified, multilingual, globally connected workforce Russia spent 30 years developing, they're being purged. Engineers who designed civilian aircraft, unemployed. Programmers who built e-commerce platforms, unemployed. Meanwhile, anyone who can assemble artillery shells is in desperate demand. This is the execution of Russia's future. When this war ends, Russia will have factories producing thousands of tanks, but no one to buy them.
Millions of workers who've forgotten how to use computers, know nothing about international business, cut off from global advancement. That's when the real bankruptcy begins. Let's assemble the full picture. Teachers on strike, public employees unpaid, fast food chains closing, shopping malls empty, an entire professional class eliminated from economic relevance. All of this screams one truth. The Kremlin's lie that everything is going according to plan has collapsed. The Russian people have endured famines, wars, revolutions. They're incredibly patient. Their tolerance for pain is 10 times higher than Westerners. But there's an old Russian proverb. In the battle between the refrigerator and the television, the refrigerator always wins in the end. The television, propaganda, shouts, "We are great, we're winning." It sells pride, nationalism, glory. But the refrigerator whispers, "I'm empty. You can't buy chicken. Your child is hungry. What will you eat tomorrow?" For 25 years, the television was ahead. But as of January 2026, the winner is clear. The refrigerator has won. You cannot satisfy a fired father with patriotic speeches. You can't appease an unpaid teacher with tales of foreign attacks. You can't calm a mother who can't buy boots by saying we have nuclear missiles. We're at that critical threshold where Russians are beginning to turn their backs on the Kremlin. Does this happen overnight? No. It's like a dam cracking. First a tiny leak, then the crack grows, then one day, catastrophically, the dam bursts. Will there be protests tomorrow? I can't predict that. But history teaches us Russian regimes do not fall because of battlefield defeat. Russia lost to Japan in 1905, the regime survived. Russian regimes collapsed because of bread, empty stomachs, unpaid wages, long lines at empty shops. The February Revolution in 1917 wasn't started by Bolshevik intellectuals. It was started by women in bread lines, tired of watching their families starve. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, not because NATO invaded, but because supermarket shelves were empty, the ruble was worthless, the system couldn't provide basic necessities. History is knocking on that door again, loudly. Putin's real enemy is not in Kyiv or Washington. It's standing in front of those millions of empty refrigerators across Russia.
Russia is freezing in the storm it created. Putin set out to bring Ukraine to its knees, but today he finds his own people on their knees, begging for wages they've earned. All the data points to one truth. This is unsustainable. A country cannot become a superpower by starving its teachers, failing to pay its doctors, leaving its youth unemployed. This internal collapse is more devastating than any bullet fired in Ukraine, because what feeds an army is the economy. When the economy stops, the army stops. Russia's engine is sputtering. We'll continue reporting on these silent cries behind the headlines. How much longer can the Russian people withstand this pressure? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. The refrigerator has defeated the television. The Russian people are waking up. What comes next will reshape the world. Stay true to the truth. Stay safe.